What's up, YouTube? It's Kenny again. Back to the truck finally. Well, I say finally. I had a good weekend hanging out with Jessica. Had kind of some weird stuff happen when we got a hotel room the first night on Friday night. Hung out there, went out, had some drinks, and then on Saturday night we got a hotel with a hot tub in it and all that stuff, right? So we're chilling in the hot tub, and all of a sudden the tornado sirens start going off, and we ended up finally getting out of the hot tub and draining it and getting dressed and whatever. And then a little while later we got back in the hot tub and the fucking fire alarm went off into place. No fire, everything was fine, but just kind of crazy. And we had a good time. Back at the truck now. I don't have to leave until this evening. I believe once she gets all her stuff sorted and all that, she's going to come see me again today before I have to leave. But yeah, it was a good weekend. Had a good time. Appreciate you guys standing by while I wasn't making videos, all right? So, before we get started talking about stocks, just want to say I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a truck driver driving across the country researching and trading stocks, and I will not be held responsible for any moves you make in the stock market. Not ever. Not ever. I am not your mama. Take responsibility for your own decisions. Do your own research, all right? If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave me a comment below, and consider joining the Patreon to support the channel to help us build up the YouTube account on M1 Finance to help me build up a retirement, all right? I'm not a rich guy. All these rich YouTubers don't need your money. Somebody like me, if you want to pay it forward, this is a good place to start your support, all right? So, the market Thursday and Friday was, up and down. Enphase still holding up above 170. My cost basis was 180. We actually hit that for a few minutes. There's a lot of bullish sentiment coming out right now about solar, all right? I've been seeing articles. I just read one this morning talking about how analysts are seeing really good entry points for solar stocks and stuff. And of course, I've been bullish on solar for a long time. I've got Enphase, I've got OEG, I've got the solar ETF TAN is in the M1 Finance, Enphase in the Roth and in the M1 Finance. So I've been bullish on solar, and I'm still of the mind that all it's going to take really is for there to be a lot of solar language come out in these infrastructure bills and stuff, which it will, for this stuff to start taking off again. TAN, the solar ETF, if you're not familiar with it, it was like the number one ETF of last year, like the number one performer, right above ARK-K, or it could have been right below. It's in the top 2 or 3 right there of the best performing ETFs of last year. So I like that ETF a lot. I also think that OEG is going to make some moves when this infrastructure bill passes, and when there becomes more talk of solar, and we get some more articles about their solar division. So looking good. I'm still really bullish on the solar sector, all right? Hyliion, I haven't seen any real news come out about Hyliion. We've had some price action, occurring, and seems to be maintaining the levels. No big drops or anything like that. But, it's going to be not too much longer, month or so, before they start delivering these ERXs. And we're going to get some news about that. And they start delivering the first ERXs, the prototypes, I guess you could call them, on the Peterbilts that are going to go to this council that they've created, and these big trucking companies are going to get the opportunity to test these trucks. That's coming. It's coming, within the next couple months. That's going to be a big step. I still believe that we have quite a ways before it really starts to proliferate. There's going to be a long stage of these companies testing the trucks and providing feedback, and who knows what news we may get along the way throughout that process. But obviously I'm still real bullish on Hyliion. I have it in all of my accounts. I have it in Roth, I have it in the cash account, I have it in the M1 Finance, all right? OEG, we're just waiting on news. You guys saw what it did when the news came out about that big contract. It doubled. It came back down, but it doubled that day in one day. So all we're really waiting on with the OEG is for that next big pop like that, and I'm going to probably sell. All right. And Hyliion is a different story. I may sell the Roth shares if we get a big bump, but the cash account and the M1 Finance, those are long-term shares. Lordstown Motors, all right. So first of all, I've talked a lot about how the people who write the articles are not on our side and stuff. And I think it's interesting that we had a good, it wasn't 100% positive, but a fairly positive article come out on Saturday through Seeking Alpha. But when I go, like a lot of times I'll just check Webull and I'll click on it, and then I'll look in the news tab and see what's in there. But this article that came out Saturday is, at least as of right now, not in that news tab. So it's like, okay, why are we picking and choosing what articles we're pushing out to people? But the fact of the matter is that the article on Seeking Alpha had a lot of positive things to say. I mean, even the headline was positive. We haven't seen a lot of that. And they talked about how the test rides were impressive. They talked more extensively, which I liked, about, rather than just talking about the plant, they talked about what's actually inside the plant, talking about how they have more than a dozen multi-million-dollar presses and robots and all of this. There was a lot of positive language. They also, another thing they talked about was how GM, since the 50s and 60s, had been a major employer there in that area, and that when they shut it down, like 5,000 jobs were lost and like crippled the local economy, and how there's a lot of incentive for them to get government help and for the government to make sure that they succeed, and especially the local government, the local economic structure. And like it or not, whether you like to hear it or not, that is a big factor in whether or not they're going to get funding. You know what I mean? Is this job creation aspect. And I still believe they're going to get the ATVM loan. But if they don't, they've got other means of funding. And another positive thing in the article was that, contrary to popular belief, the actual numbers are bearing out that they have enough money to make it through May of 2022. So, roughly 6 months into 2022. So the funding is not even as critical right now as, has been put out there. They're saying that they have enough money to do the 1,000 or so trucks this year and make it all the way to May 2022. So if something was to happen, they're not going to get funding or whatever, it's not going to happen in the next 6 months. You know what I mean? They've got enough money to make it almost a year. So that's positive. And they just had, in general, a lot of positive things to say in the article. And so this could potentially represent what I've been talking about how after Lordstown Week, I think that the tide is going to start to turn, and this analyst sentiment and these articles sentiment is going to start turning the other direction. And I believe this could be the beginning of that, okay? They also talked about how there's significant risk, and there is. I do not doubt that there is plenty of risk, especially if you're looking at a 5 to 10 year outlook, whereas I'm looking at like a 6 month outlook. It's one of the stocks that I don't plan to hold over the long term. I do have some long-term shares, but it's not very many compared to the large number of shares that I have in the Roth. Those will be sold. So yeah, I'm happy about where things are. Man, the light's just changing up all over the place. Happy about where things are. I wish I could get out of this holding pattern and make some sales so that I could make some other moves, but this is just where we're at. After February, when I repositioned everything, I repositioned in the stuff that I was planning to just ride out until we get back up, and that's, we're still waiting on that. So I do want to do a breakdown at some point, like I said before, about the M1 Finance and talk about everything that's in there. I was looking at it over this weekend and kind of looking at it with Jessica, and you know, everything in that account is up, and a lot of it is up like significant, like 35% plus. And you know, the stuff that's keeping it kind of down is still up. So, you know, M1 Finance sitting around 25%. Friday, the Roth IRA finished over 10,000, which 10,000 represents 25%. So we're up over 25% there. And really, in that account, the Roth, and also in the cash account, Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of dragging it down some. So, but, you know, and with Bitcoin, like, it's in an area where it could break out, but, you know, I'm not really heavily expecting that. I'm holding those shares until we do have a really good breakout, and then I'll make a determination about whether I want to sell them or not. I still think it's going to go really, really high if I hold it for a couple of years. So we'll see what happens. With all that said, I'm back. Thanks for being patient with me while I took some time off. In a few weeks, I'm taking a whole week off to go to New Orleans, so be prepared for that. But I appreciate you guys' support, and you guys still sticking with me during these slow times. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, leave me a comment, and join the fucking Patreon, guys. The link is in the description below. I appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.